It was one of those perfect Saturday mornings. The sky was clear, the roads were quiet, and my black Dodge Charger gleamed under the sunlight as I cruised through the winding suburban streets. I had just finished a long week on duty as a California Highway Patrol officer, and for once, I was off the clock. My neighborhood was managed by an HOA, one that took itself way too seriously, but I never thought I'd see the day they'd start pretending they were real law enforcement. As I turned down Maple Ridge Drive, I noticed flashing red and blue lights in my rearview mirror. My stomach instinctively tensed before my brain caught up. I wasn't on duty, and there were no police units registered in our area. I slowed down, curiosity kicking in. Behind me was an old white Ford Explorer with a big HOA enforcement decal on the side and a cheap LED light bar on the roof. My lips curved into a smirk. I pulled over to the side, half amused and half irritated. Out stepped two men wearing tactical vests with security patches, dark sunglasses, and utility belts that tried hard to look official. One of them, the officer in charge, strutted toward me like he owned the street, his chest puffed out, radio on his shoulder crackling uselessly. "Sir," he barked, "do you know why I pulled you over?" I looked at him for a moment, deliberately silent. I could see the reflection of my highway patrol badge hanging from my dashboard, but he either didn't notice or didn't want to. "I wasn't aware the HOA had traffic jurisdiction," I said evenly, raising an eyebrow. He smirked, clearly enjoying his little power trip. "We enforce community safety rules. You were driving too fast for the neighborhood." I almost laughed. I had been doing 25 and a 30, but I stayed calm, hands resting on the wheel. "And what exactly do you plan to do about it?" The guy looked over his shoulder at his partner, who stood near the fake SUV, pretending to write something on a clipboard. "We'll be issuing you a violation notice," he said. "Repeat offenses can result in fines or even—" I cut him off, my voice sharp now. "You do realize impersonating law enforcement is a federal offense, right?" The smirk slipped off his face. "You're not a cop," he snapped. "Don't try to threaten me." Without breaking eye contact, I reached into my glove compartment and pulled out my badge wallet. I flipped it open, the gold glint catching the sunlight as I said, calm but firm, "Actually, I'm Highway Patrol." For a full second, both of them froze. Then the taller one started stammering. Sir, this is just a misunderstanding. We were told to patrol for speeding." I stepped out of my car slowly, my boots crunching on the gravel. "You pulled me over with flashing lights in a vehicle marked like a police unit, and you're issuing citations you have no authority for." I gestured toward the SUV. "That's not a patrol vehicle. That's a civilian car illegally equipped with emergency lighting." They both looked pale now. I took a few steps closer, my tone steady. "What's your name and supervisor's contact?" The shorter one mumbled, "We work for the HOA board. Mrs. Karen Jennings." "Karen, of course, the self-appointed queen of our HOA. The same woman who once fined a neighbor for planting tulips that didn't match the community aesthetic." I couldn't help but chuckle. "Tell Karen that next time she wants to play police, she should at least read the penal code first." I dismissed them with a wave and got back into my Charger. The so-called HOA cops retreated quickly, their lights flickering off as they sped away. But I wasn't done, not even close, because now it wasn't just about me. It was about a group of civilians impersonating law enforcement, using fear to control the community. And if they wanted to play police, I was about to show them what real law enforcement looked like. After that ridiculous traffic stop, I figured the HOA cops had learned their lesson. But I was wrong, very wrong. Within 2 days, word had spread all over the neighborhood that I had threatened security officers and disrespected HOA authority. Karen Jennings, the president of the HOA, self-proclaimed guardian of neighborhood order, had twisted the story into something outrageous. According to her version, I was a reckless driver who abused his badge to intimidate volunteers. Volunteers, the same men who tried to pull me over with illegal flashing lights. I laughed when I heard the rumors, until I checked my mailbox and found a formal HOA citation. It was a bright yellow paper stamped URGENTV IOLATIONNOTICE. My supposed crimes: speeding within community limits, disrespecting HOA officials, and creating hostility. And at the bottom, in bold red letters, fine, $1,500 payable within 7 days. I actually laughed out loud. Then I noticed something else. In small print it said, failure to pay may result in lien placement against property. That was the last straw. I walked straight to the next HOA meeting. It was held in the community clubhouse, a small, overpriced building funded by the same people being fined. The moment I stepped inside, heads turned. Karen sat at the front of the long table, wearing her favorite pastel cardigan and a smug little grin. Well, she said, her tone dripping with fake sweetness. If it isn't Officer Daniels. Come to apologize? I crossed my arms. No, Karen. I came to make something clear. She leaned back, her pearl necklace glinting under the fluorescent light. Go ahead. We're all ears. I took a step forward, my voice calm but firm. You have no authority to stop vehicles. You have no right to install emergency lights or impersonate law enforcement. And these fines you're issuing? Completely illegal. Karen's smirk faltered for just a second before she turned to her little army of board members. Oh, please. You think you can intimidate us with your badge? This is private property. We set our own community standards. You can set standards, I said, but you can't violate federal law. One of the board members, a nervous-looking guy with glasses, spoke up. Actually, Karen, he might be right. I read something about... Karen cut him off sharply. Enough, Ron. We are simply enforcing safety. She turned back to me, eyes narrowed. Maybe you're not used to following rules like everyone else. That did it. I took out my phone, pulled up my body cam footage from the day they pulled me over, and cast it onto the big screen via Bluetooth. The video played in sharp clarity. The fake cops flashing their cheap lights, one of them demanding my license, the moment I showed my badge. Gasps filled the room. Karen's face turned red. Turn that off, she snapped. But I didn't. I let it play until the end, until my final line echoed across the room. Tell Karen that next time she wants to play police, she should at least read the penal code first. When the clip ended, I looked directly at her. That's called impersonating an officer, Karen. Penal Code 538D, punishable by up to a year in jail and fines exceeding $10,000. For the first time, she looked shaken. You can't be serious. Oh, I am, I said coldly. And I've already sent this footage to the county sheriff's office and the attorney general's unit. So yes, Karen, I'm very serious. The room went silent. The only sound was the faint hum of the ceiling fan. Over the next few days, things escalated quickly. County deputies came to the neighborhood, interviewing residents about security patrols. HOA board members suddenly stopped showing up at the clubhouse. The fake police vehicle, the white Ford Explorer, vanished overnight. But Karen wasn't done. She started sending out community emails, claiming I was harassing the HOA, that I was endangering the harmony of the neighborhood. She even tried to have me banned from attending HOA meetings. So I decided to do what any good law enforcement officer would. I went straight to the evidence. With a few calls to some friends in the sheriff's office, I got access to background information on the HOA security contracts. What I found made my jaw drop. Karen had been paying her nephew, Kyle Jennings, nearly $60,000 a year from HOA funds for community patrol services. That's right. The so-called HOA cops were her relatives. Unlicensed, untrained, and fully funded by homeowners' dues. I took everything, the footage, the contracts, the emails, and compiled them into a neat folder. Then I forwarded it all to the state attorney's office with a detailed report attached. The next morning, the entire neighborhood woke up to flashing lights. Real ones this time. Sheriff's cruisers lined the street as officers served search warrants at the HOA office. Neighbors peeked from behind curtains as Karen was let out, shouting, "This is harassment! I'm innocent!" But the evidence was overwhelming. Misuse of community funds, impersonation of law enforcement, fraud. The list went on. The fake officers were arrested for impersonation and unauthorized use of emergency equipment. Karen was charged with multiple counts of fraud and embezzlement. Later that week, I was sipping coffee on my porch when Ron, the nervous board member, walked up hesitantly. "Hey, Officer Daniels," he said softly. They're dissolving the HOA. The county's taking over management for now." I smiled faintly. "Good. Maybe now people can live without being bullied by someone who thinks she runs the law." He nodded. "Thank you." For standing up to them, I shrugged. Someone had to. Sometimes justice needs to show up, even when it's off duty. He chuckled nervously and walked away, leaving me alone with my thoughts. I looked out at the quiet neighborhood, the same one that used to feel tense and oppressive under Karen's rule. Now it finally felt free.